Grace, grace, in the mighty name of our matchless Messiah, He is risen. Hello to all of you. I know it's been a while. I've been trying to get some rest from a very, very, very long week, but hello to all of you. Text somebody, tag somebody, let them know that I'm on. I'm about to talk to you for a bit about something that is very important to me. Prophet Elaine, I see you. Come on home. Sick of it. Hey, Steaky. Pastor Javon and Moore, I miss you. I really do. What's going on? Crisante, I was hoping to see you in New York at some point. What's up? Hey, everybody. Tag somebody. Email somebody. Grace, First Lady, Big Sister Almighty. It was so good to hug your neck. Marshall Blackman, I need to meet you, man. Heard great things about you. Great things about you. Bishop Randy Borders, I honor you, kind sir. Thank you guys for being on and being willing to hear anything I have to say. Hello to all of you. Apostle Gerald, now I would not be shocked if when I get to Ohio tomorrow, you'll be there. You got the most flyer miles I've ever met in my life or ever seen in my life. Hey, Reverend Helena Thompson, I hope to see you Sunday. Shante Ford, hey, my daughter. Hello, 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 hello. Let everybody know that I'm on. I want to talk to you real quick. I'm warning you now, this might be a bit heavy, but needful for you. So come on with me and let's spend a couple of minutes sharing before we go to bed. What's going on to all of you. Grace to you. The Lord is so worthy. I don't know what in the world happened to me Sunday, but I was in New York City. And Prophet Harrison, I love you. I'm going to send you a text. You blessed me in a way that's real weird, but you blessed me. Anyway, I was in New York City Sunday preaching in my church, and hey, JT, and spontaneously I felt led of the Lord to call revival. And I called revival and told people to meet me at church the following day. Prophet Jasmine, hey honey. And there was more people in church on Monday than there was on Sunday. And then I said, when I got to Monday, I started preaching and ministering. And I say, I've not done this in 23 years, but what y'all doing tomorrow? And everybody was like, hey, we in the building. And they ended up showing up on Tuesday as well. We had a phenomenal time. So if you hear my voice, I'm just trying to make sure I physically recover because I gave a lot. Virtue left me. It was a lot happening. So I just traveled yesterday and got a chance to just rest today and spend time with my babies and recover. But I wanted to make sure I got on today and celebrate it. We're at about 300 people. I want to make sure we have a little more before we start. I'd like to let you know that if you are in the Midwest, anywhere in the region, or if you have flyer miles or plane packages or whatever, travel packages, and you're ever, Coco, hey honey, it's good to see you. If you have plane benefits or packages and you want to be with me tomorrow night at All Nations Worship Assembly of Columbus, Ohio. I will be there with Pastors Julius and Ashanti Lancaster. Julius and Ashanti Lancaster in Columbus, Ohio. It's going to be amazing. So come out, fly out, be there. It's going to be a phenomenal time. I've got something the Lord wants me to share with that region, specifically with that area. So if you got some flyer miles, you believe in taking day trips. I got a lot of people around me who believe in day trips. But if you're one of them, come out and hit me up. All right. So I'll be up very early in the morning and getting myself together so I can get out of here and get there. And then Sunday in Chicago, I'll be preaching the word of the Lord there. So let's get ready. If you can get there, if you can drive or take a train or a plane or whatever, meet me. And it's going to be amazing there. If you are a member of 11 or a member of number 1, let's go. If I got a preaching engagement, which it looks like every week I'm out somewhere else, you can meet me there and get there and be a part of what God is doing in the different campuses of our work, but also in the different expressions of the body of Christ and what he's doing in fresh. Okay. All right, let's get ready. How many of you want to spend about 30 minutes thinking? Just give me a hand emoji. How many of you want to spend, Apostle Gerald Pays, come on, man. We already know you like to travel. Okay, I'm going to give you something to think about. I have gotten very criticized and very critiqued in the past about being a transparent preacher. It is the idea that those that hold pulpit responsibility. Anthony Cumberpatch, what's up, man? That those that hold pulpit responsibility or those that have homiletic responsibility should not be transparent. But I don't know any other way to be. The way I was raised, the way I was groomed, the way I was trained, transparency is a part of my personality, and sometimes to a fault. It works beautifully in arguments and beautifully in conflict. But sometimes I give people a lot more than what they're ready for, or a lot more than what they can handle. Or sometimes I give more than what people are braced for. I don't know that that's something about me that I want to change. As I mature and grow and wax older and get more seasoned in the things of God, and the things pertaining to purpose and destiny, I think that one of my life convictions is transparency. I find that transparency is one of the ways that people really get healed, because there's somebody out there battling with, struggling with, thinking through something you've gone through or trying to process, and they think they're the only one. You know, if somebody is walking through a similar journey, a similar process, a similar path that you're walking through, and they really do feel isolated by it, like alienated, like nobody understands it, nobody gets it, and that they have to try to figure it out alone. So I've decided to, in one of the ways, hallelujah, that I'll lay my life down is I'll become an example of a living epistle and what it means to be transparent in a way that has no religious accoutrements or pretense or presumption, because I don't think people get healed by playing make-believe. So it used to get me in a lot of trouble, and it used to get me a lot of flack, but I have found in my own estimation that more people get healed when people are truthful and human and honest than they do when you're pretentious, comedic, and just putting on for the sake of what people think is appropriate. I'd rather be honest and appropriate, and I'd rather be upfront and give it to you. I don't know that type of attitude or that type of mentality will be appreciated in my lifetime. But if it changes the trajectory and the course and the nature of church history as we know it, I'll lay my life down for it. Sidebar caveat is, you need to probably start thinking about things you'll lay your life down for, because that's what gives meaning to life. Until you find something that you're willing to die for, you don't know what you're alive for. So I've been very deliberate and intentional over the last several years about looking through things or thinking about things or meditating about things that I lay my life down for, because that's what brings meaning to life. Hey, Russell, love you, man. So this is going to be one of those lives, and I'll leave it up, provided that I don't get too excited or what have you. But you need to discern the reasons you are alive and what you're laying your life down for. Tonight's live is going to be very interesting. I'm going to share something with you. It came out of me this week during the prophetic revival, and I want to unpack it for a lot of you. I understand. Today is 420, by the way. So I know a lot of my sopranos, altos, and tenors, and bishops, and organists, and drums, and bass players. And I know y'all might be in a space right now. So that is going to make sense to what I'm talking about right now. I'd like to encourage you, though, excuse me, that ain't no high like the Most High. So we're here, and you're listening to me. You're going to probably log off now that I've addressed you on your idolatry, but we're here. There are people who struggle with the subject matter of addiction. So let's start there, and I'm gonna paste this in a way that's very, very, very deliberate. Addiction is something that is the soul's way of expressing its need to be healed. I'll repeat it again. Addiction is the soul's way of expressing its need to be healed, its desire to be medicated, to be anesthetized, to have some type of something that helps it cope with life pressures, pain, but most importantly, to escape from reality. And so when anybody struggles with any addictive anything, food, drugs, sex, alcohol, attention, because attention is addictive, self-abuse. I've got tons of stories about that pain. When anybody struggles with anything addictive, it's the soul's way of saying that it needs attention, and it needs to be catered to, and it needs to be nurtured. There's a lot of different layers to that, but in the most part, anybody, and this is why you should never shun, disrespect, look down on anybody, because on your best day, you are still capable of finding and coming in contact with an addictive behavior: porn, cigarettes, cigars, hookah. And I know I'm probably one of the only preachers talking about it, but we're here. So addiction is one of the latent powers of the human soul. It is possible for anybody to become an addict. Do not think that you are beyond it. I feel the anointing coming on me already. There's a lot of pride, arrogance, ego, that makes people think they are above and beyond developing an addiction. But all of us are capable, and all of us are probable, and all of us have a propensity to fall prey to something that we need to cope, and that we need to survive, and that we need to thrive. So don't think that who you are and what you know makes you exempt from the power of addiction. Addiction is a very real thing. You can be the person that has the mentality that I would never do that, but there is a pain that's possible that you've not experienced yet, that may push you into a place that will shock you about what you will do what you will allow when you're in the right amount of pain or when you're under the right amount of pressure. If you don't believe that to be true and you're so sanctimonious and so religious that you think that you are beyond and above your clayness and beyond and above your humanity, what's going to happen is when you go through a grief, a suffering, a sorrow, a loss, an attack, a setback, you're going to find yourself being just like the people that you judged, bro. So I'm telling you now, every human soul has the potential of addiction. Let's start there. All right. So I want you to, in your own study and in your own time, consider what addiction is, what addiction does. Addiction is a mismanaged, misappropriated, exacerbated, expressed need. I need this to live. I need this to think, God. I need this to process. I need this to have peace. I need this. So what we're really dealing with when we're dealing with the root and the core of addiction is what people know to do with what they need. And whether or not their needs are natural, normative, or, I hope you're listening to me, whether or not their needs are natural and or normative, or whether or not their needs are idolatrous. Because there's certain needs that are natural and they are normal. The human heart has a lot of longings. But there are other needs that are idolatrous and that are wicked and that are lustful. And there are certain things that you can need that can also be destructive. You can need some things that destroy you, that bring you to decay, that bring and reduce you and who you are and your potential and your prosperity and your ability to focus and your ability to concentrate. So there are things that in and of themselves may not be wicked, but that at the point that it becomes idolatrous, where you cannot function without a drink, or you can't function without sex, or you can't function without food, or you can't function without attention, or you can't function. If your functionality is depending upon it, then it means that you've developed an addiction that is idolatrous. All right. So I want to just conceptualize that for you. And this is something that in discipleship, my opinion is a sagacious discipler should deal with people about the dangers of addictions. Because if you think about what addiction really is, it really is an adverse and a perverse form of worship. Don't log off now because I've got your attention and I want to hold you accountable to your next season. What addiction really is a mismanaged form of worship. It is a form of reliance, dependency. It is a form of attachment. It is a form of transformation. You change for what you are addicted to. If you think about it, when you develop an addiction to something, it ends up mutating who and how you are as a person, and who and how you are and how you think and what you need. You know, I've seen people beyond my own family journey and story and all of that. I've seen people interrupt and disrupt plans, career paths, personalities, all kinds of things in the name of and for the sake of an addiction. So addiction is always destructive and disruptive. It will change where you're going, how you're going, and where you're going and what you want. So it's not okay for anything that is an object, an item, a chemical, an event to be able to control your potential. And that's on period. If you're listening to me, I want you to put and that's on period. Now I'm about to take a turn on you, but I want to just start it there. If it controls my potential, if it determines how I show up in my best self, if it alters how I'm received, how I perform, how I produce, if it has the ability to become the ventriloquist of my thinking, my psychological self, and my memory and all of that it is idolatrous and it is addictive. And it cannot be addictive and not be idolatrous. All right? I hope that we are all on the same page. I shared something with my church this week that, that's foundation. All of that is intro. So stay on. I hope you're a night owl. Stay on. That I realized that I struggled with and have struggled with for probably a couple of decades of my life and my ministry career. And in some ways, now that I think about it and reflect on it, even in my professional career, I said it in jest, and we all laughed about it, but it hit me, and it hit me real strong because it meant to me that I needed to really consider this for my future, for my kids, for my grandkids, for my ministry, my legacy, my story. One of the things that I realized about my journey has been I am the reason behind a lot of people's arrested development. Now, I know you didn't expect me to U-turn there, but we're going to go a little deep tonight, just enough for you to think about before you go to sleep. I've had to conceptualize that me, the man, the mogul, the mentor, the father, the pattern, the paradigm, I'm the reason behind a lot of people's arrested development. And here is why. I started talking about addictions, and one of the things I had to come to grips with and am processing through is that I'm an enabler. I'm an enabler. And I want you to process this, developed over the years a tendency to enable people. And in so doing, I subconsciously handicapped a lot of people and groomed people in their entitlement. I'm going to repeat that because I think that probably went over a lot of your heads. So I'm going to repeat it. I am a recovering enabler. You got to laugh about it, child, because if not, you'll cut yourself. I am, in fact, by proof, by evidence, by record, by history, a recovering enabler. I was to people. I did for people what they should have done for themselves. I became to people what they should have been for themselves. I made up gaps for people, and I became the apologies in people's lives that really, Christopher Hodges, I got to text you, man. I became the apologies of people's parents and people's lack of education and people's lack of experience. And they developed a reliance on me and my success and my story and my progress and my wealth and my money and my focus and my concentration and my well-being. They developed, as it were, an attachment to it. And if any of those things got staggered or challenged or impacted, then all of a sudden they abandoned and left and ran and lied and quit and stopped. So in my own reflection, I had to realize, okay, I don't think I've ever heard a teaching or a message, and I was not mentored or coached into it. It's easier to recover from cigarettes, alcohol, sex, food, and drugs than it is to recover from being a person that's addicted to enabling people. I have handicapped a lot of people. This is no shade, no cap. I can't tell you how many people I regret laying my hands on to initiate them into ministry because I saw potential. I can't tell you How many conversations I wish I hadn't have had, believing that they would be an honest reflection or a mature reflection of my wisdom and my suffering and my grooming and my obedience to God. I can't tell you. But as an enabler, what you realize is you are actually the source of a lot of people's arrested development. So when you think about what arrested development is, arrested development means that even though I am aging, I'm not growing. And even though I'm getting older, nothing about me is changing. I'm actually remaining the same. Now, here is the issue about recovering enablers. Are you guys with me or no? Give me a thumbs up if you're still here. I don't know if I'm getting a little too deep for you. Okay, an enabler will try their best to express their love, value. For me, in a lot of ways, it's protection, because I have a value system of protection. But their love, their value, their protection, their vision for other people, and they will express it through immediately being, doing, saying, causing, and creating whatever closes gaps in another person's life, development, study, pursuit, effort, etc. They will become whatever needs to be. I'm going to repeat it. An enabler has the ability to almost camouflage or to almost bend themselves in such a way where they can be what needs to be in a story. But the problem is, if you do that with one person, two person, 10 people, 30 people, 50 people, 60 people, at some point, an enabler is going to become so depleted emotionally, so drained mentally, so empty spiritually, that when they get weak and when they get bankrupt in any way, those that were leeching and relying on their sponsorship and their attention and their investment, they're going to instantly vacate, abandon, exit left. When I tell you, this is exactly how I have seen this happen. So the enabler is empty, and those that are full of the enabler's love, work, attention, availability, position, posture, work, they're there. And when there's nothing else to feed off of, those that are attached or wanted or believed in or relied on, the enablers enabling, they hurry up. They scatter like roaches. Some of you don't have relationships. You have roaches. And, but in all fairness, if you are an enabler, you're going to have a hard conversation with yourself. And that conversation is, what have I done? What have I said? How have I positioned myself in such a way? And where and at what point in my life did I develop a sign on my forehead that says, use me, take advantage of me? What is it? Where is that emptiness? Is it that this is the only way I feel loved? Is it that this is the only way I feel appreciated? Is it that the more people that need me, the more occupied I am? What is it? There's a lot of possibilities depending upon who and how you are as a person. But I think that there are a lot more enablers in the world. You probably won't ever be honest about it because of ego and shame and embarrassment. But I think there's a lot of enablers in the world than there are sex addicts. I think there's a lot more enablers in the world than there are food addicts. I think there's a lot more enablers in the world than there are porn addicts. As a matter of fact, my theory is a lot of people turn to that stuff because they were enablers first. God Almighty. I think people turn into food addicts and porn addicts and sex addicts and alcoholics. And I think they turn to that stuff to cope from their depletion and their emptiness, because they developed a life and a lifestyle where people lived off them, whether they knew it or not. So this live tonight is for those of you that need to be delivered from being an enabler and from being the type of a person and being the type of a life, whether you are a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter, a friend, a pastor, whatever you are. If you're the type of a person where people have plugged into you in such a way where they mismanage you, mishandle you, don't hear you, disrespect you, dishonor you, will easily abandon you, and still need you. Their need for you is above and beyond their love and care for you. If you are that person, my heart breaks for you, because I was you. I understand you. I promise you I do. I'm getting through it, and I'm thinking through it, because sometimes it takes for you to go through certain seasons of life to realize that that's what you've been doing and that's how you are. But there's a lot of people that's watching me right now that follow me that are enablers. You are the reason behind the handicapped people around you. You're the reason they won't grow up, because when they falter and fail, you show up. And when they need a bill paid, you bankrupt yourself to make sure they've got a need. And when they can't hear God, you tire yourself out to make sure you know what needs to be said. And when they don't have a career journey or path, I have created so many careers. They won't tell you, but I will. I've created so many career paths of people that at GED level couldn't go beyond Chick-fil-A. And in my own very prototypical enablement thing, I became people's wheelchairs, walkers, canes, roto-rooters, etc. What I should have done was learn how to mature them and grow them in such a way where I can support you and teach you and strengthen you, but I'm not going to be the mechanism in your life that makes you move. You got to do it yourself. I want to teach you how to fish, and I keep putting it in your hands. Some of you do it for your siblings. Some of you do it for your parents. And then here's the other misconception. One of the misconceptions is if we have the same last name, that I am indebted to just do what needs to be done because blood is thicker than water. Child, let me tell you, whoever taught y'all some of your most deep wounds and deep pains and deep betrayals and deep hurts and piercings and lacerations is going to come from blood. So don't be bound to blood. I think we should be committed to definitions, because there's a lot of people. I show you a mystery, and think about this for your own life. There's a lot of you that have siblings that you're not even friends with. And you can be brothers and sisters by blood and be strangers in relationship. It's very possible. Anyway, so those of us that have enabled people before have to soul search and self search to the extent where we're honest with ourselves about what we want, why we did it, what motivated it, and how to stop. Because at the end of the day, the grand expense is yourself. You cannot afford a bad season, a hard time, a bad day. You can afford for somebody to die on you, somebody to walk away on you, any of that, if you are an enabler. Jesus said this to a man that he healed: rise, take up your bed and walk. The thing that, the accoutrement, the instrument that helped you identify with your condition, your state, the way you are, get rid of it, your excuse. Because here was the thing: an enabler, and this is going to be hard, and y'all going to be mad at me, and y'all going to DM me and try to prophesy and all that bull. But here's the truth. An enabler is inevitably an instrument of excuses. I can grow you, pour into you, teach you, stretch you, correct you, rebuke you, sacrifice for you, sow into you, invest in you, love you, care for you, counsel you, be concerned for you, and not handicap you. I just got to figure out how to do it. Because in our culture, the two are almost inevitably the same. But enablers are instruments of excuses. So if I have positioned myself in your life and in your world and in your story as an enabler, what I've done is I become the manifest example of your excuses. I can only enable you because you got an excuse. And your excuse empowers my enablement. And so because of that, I'll be broke and still pay for you. I'll need my own space and you can still live with me. I'll pay your hospital bills, your school bills. I'll show up to you for you in court. I will enter your life in deficit, in the red, in negative. So whatever your mom and dad did not do, I will immerse myself in that space. But when I don't get love in return, respect in return, honor in return, celebration in return, gratitude in return, support in return, then I become bitter and enraged and angry. Now, here's another very unique thing. I know y'all are getting tired of me. In a weird way, I can't prove it just yet. Give me some time. Y'all know I'm a scholar, so I'll figure it out. But in a very weird way, I have a suspicion that enablers are going to struggle with rage. There's a deep anger somewhere in all enablers. And I'm going to tell you why. Once you're tired, you're tired. Once you're tired, you're tired. And all it takes is for the right day, the right event, the right circumstance to push you to the edge. So enablers have a spectrum of emotional capacity. Is this too deep for y'all? Are y'all good? Enablers have a deep capacity to love. So your capacity to love and to care is what helps people heal and restore and grow and recover, etc., right? So that's here. But over there, the same depth is there to snap and go off and not care, and to almost become so ruthless and so robotic that you will say what you've been feeling the entire time, because you can't be an enabler and not be suppressed. The very nature of enablement and the very nature of the persona of an enabler means you've got to put yourself down to lift them up. And you've got to hold your own needs back in order to make sure that other people's needs are met. So those emotions and those experiences and those frustrations and those angers and those fears, they still exist, even though you ain't done nothing with it. Problem is, woe to whoever triggers the enabler that's tired of being taken advantage of, walked on, walked over, used, abused, and disrespected. At some point, that thing is going to come up, and is going to come up to anybody that is in lateral range. Anybody that is around is going to get it. Husband, wife, mother, father, they're going to get it. So my encouragement and my admonishment to those of you who are like me that experience what it is or know what it is to be an enabler is stop. Stop. Treat people where they are, how they are. Interact with people at their age, not their need. You may think that's harsh. You may think that's judgmental. But what I'm trying to do is teach you how to preserve you and your own strength and your own discipline. You're not just tired for no reason. You're not just exhausted and depleted for no reason. You're not just not committed and not decided for no reason. No, you're dealing with cankerworms, locusts, leeches, flies, roaches. Chill. And love them. Love them. You have to. Yes. Love them as deep as you can. As consistently as you can. But not at the point and not at the place of your death and your demise. You've got to learn emotional, psychological, financial, relational restraint. Boundaries are good. And because the book of Ecclesiastes says life is a vapor, it's fleeting. It comes and it goes. You need to apply your days to wisdom. And what I'm trying to give you is wisdom. I'm still learning it. I'm not there. But you need to apply your days to wisdom. You can be mama, daddy, brother, sister, friend, best friend, frat, soror, neighbor, colleague, spiritual mama, spiritual daddy, mentor, all of that. You can be whatever the definition is. Okay. But at the end of the day, there needs to be some relational corridors that determine how you interact, how you invest, when you start, when you stop, so that you can preserve it. Make your suffering make sense. Make your struggles matter. Make your tests useful in your life. And if you are an enabler, you can't do that. So now I'm going to tell you from personal experience, if you're still listening to me, I know I've ticked a lot of you off. When you first start to teach yourself and to train yourself in this area of your heart and life, you're going to feel guilty. Every enabler is going to struggle with guilt. And here's how it sounds. But if I don't, you're going to always consider their outcomes if you change or adjust your posture or your behavior. So if you say, if I don't do it, who else will? God. Because here is what might be behind that whole thing, maybe you think you're a Messiah. You can't even be a man. You can't be a woman. You can't be growing. You can't be hurting. You can't be struggling. You can't be growing because you're busy trying to be Jesus Jr. And what you have to realize in your life is that that's the one thing you've not been called to be, is a miniature Messiah. So there are some people who are going to die in their immaturity and die in their bondage and die in their struggle. And you won't be the answer, and you won't be the solution, and you won't be the solve. Now, this is a hard thing to conceptualize if you are a mentor, and if you want to be a good friend, and if you want to be a good pastor, if you want to be a good leader, if you want to be a good sibling, even. You got to realize that the secret sauce to all success in relationship is meet them where they at. And let your love, let your effort, let your motive bring healing to them. But don't you ever again in your life, I know this sounds like a rebuke, but I'm just giving this to you as if I am your teacher or leader, or I'm sitting with you in a coffee shop or something. Don't you ever again in your life find yourself running down the ring to get in somebody's battle and they be at home. Don't do it again. You're about to reach Q2 in 2023. And for many of us, it was one of the hardest seasons, the most complicated seasons of our lives. You wait till them ninjas are in the ring, and you show up and you get in their corner, but you don't fight their battles. You didn't sign up for this. It's not something, you got your own stuff. Don't you try to be mama to your boyfriend. Don't you try to be daddy to your girlfriend. Don't you try to buy your way into love from your friends. Don't you try to make up for your parents' praise and applause of your siblings by going over and beyond what you got or what you can handle. Stop. Because at the end of the day, when you get depleted, what's at risk is your clarity about your destiny. When you get depleted, what's at risk is your confidence and your bravery about your next direction. When you get depleted, you're not going to have the courage, the confidence, the clarity, the clearance to do what you need to do to move forward in your life so that you can prosper. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to teach you to do, is prosper. And prosperity is not about money. Prosperity is about the quality of life that you have, and who's with you and who's going with you, who wants to be with you, and for the reasons that they are with you. So yes, my wisdom to you tonight is this. If they have a battle, if they have a war, if something is after them, if they're in a championship battle of any category, class, or weight or rank, lightweight, featherweight, heavyweight, whatever their war is, you don't be stupid and run your tail out there and be in there jumping around with gloves on, and they be eating popcorn while you're fighting an enemy that is not your own. I'm support, help, aid. I'm partnering with God concerning what he's doing in you and with you and for you. But I'm not going to try to be him. The best actor in the world, the best singer in the world, whatever you are, you ain't gonna ever be good at being God. If you're listening to me, will you write that? I won't ever be good at being God. Now, ministry, this is complicated. I could go days about my experiences and my journey pouring and mentoring and all of that, and what it's taught me, what it's cost me. But one of my hard lessons is I won't ever be good at being God. So, because of that, I want you to learn some boundaries. They can say, my lights are off, and I wasn't expecting it. Your response now should be, I'm praying for you. When in the past, you would have been like, oh, let me go and take out a loan or sell some chocolate or something to make sure you got it. I'm about to lose my car. Hey, may the Lord give you hinds feet so you can tread upon the high places. I'm going to tell you why. On your birthday, on your anniversary, on your celebration days, you're going to be sitting with yourself mad. I'm telling you what I know. And you're going to be like, yo, I did A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And here I am at a calendar day of celebration, of demarcation, of announcement, of appreciation, of validation and approval. And you're nowhere to be found. So you got to stop. That's all. Your soul needs a brand new stop. I've done it. I'm doing it. And I want you to learn the same. Learn to stop. It's going to hurt you too. It really will hurt you. Now, those of you that know this plight are going to agree with me 100%. Some of you, frankly, candidly, are not in the position to be an enabler. You ain't got enough. As a matter of fact, a lot of you watching me are the leeches. But those of you that are in the same category understand what I mean when I say, one of the hardest things to learn to do is stop. And what comes with that stop. Because here is the final issue. When you learn to stop, you're going to become the monster. When you learn to stop, the story will change about you. When you learn to stop, they're going to walk away. When you learn to stop, they're going to attack, confuse, conspire. When you learn to stop, you can't be a nice guy and learn to stop. Even if your stopping is for the sake of yourself or your future or your focus or your next move. So this is to all of the enablers out there. Chill. Stop. I guarantee you, if I be God's man, Colinar 71, I need to see you at church. If I be God's man, if you stop, you'll live longer. I learned it. I lived it. Still learning it. No matter how deeply. I said this to some of my sons and daughters a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes, and I know many of you watching me will get this, I feel like I was cursed with the gift of a huge heart. Like, bruh, I love so deeply. And because I love so deeply, it gets on my nerves. Because I love so deeply, I'll snap off and pop off. And when you cross me, you go into the abyss. It's not all the way Christ-like, but I'm a work in process. But those of you that have the deep capacity to love, you understand me, you feel me. You understand that you'll go to your end to make sure that people heal and recover and grow and have and all of that stuff. But unfortunately, it is not always reciprocated. It's not always respected, regarded, acknowledged. So because of that reality, you've got to make the adjustment. I often say to my sons, my daughters, my mentors, my proteges, my kids, all of that, I often say, if they don't change, you do. You make the adjustment. Don't wait for them. So at this point, when we reach limits, boundaries, markers, changes, places of maturity, you got to be the one to change without waiting on them. I love you. I respect you. I see you. You're beautiful. You're important. God's hand is on you. But you're not going to use me. And you're not going to abuse me. And I'm not going to allow you to disrespect what I went through to be me. All right. I think I should leave this up. And I think I should let you take notes from it. Maybe reflect on it a bit. And think through it. Please apply it to your life. I'm not just on here, sharing stuff randomly or arbitrarily, but I want you to think through this. I'll leave it up so that you guys can watch this and think about it. Here is to the recovering enablers out there. You're not alone. Ciao. Lord have mercy. All right, grace to you. I will be in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow night, sharing the word of the Lord. And I'll be at All Nations Worship Assembly with Pastors Julius and Ashanti Lancaster. And it's going to be an amazing time in the Lord. All right, I'll try to say something to y'all tomorrow. And I hope to see you at some point this weekend. Go to church. Get your tail off that couch and off that phone. Find yourself at church. All right. Grace to all of you. Bye.